Okay, let me get this straight. I suck at Souls-like games. That's why I only completed Elden Ring twice in this much time. So, here's how the first playthrough went. The first 30 hours went like this. I started with Samurai class because why not? I started pretty blindly to Elden Ring. I didn't know anything about the game at all. So I started knowing absolutely nothing, completely blind. I of course died to Grafted Scion and teleported to the Limgrave. That's all normal, right? Yeah. I found my way as usual and started wandering aimlessly. After what felt like hours, I finally stumbled upon the Church of LA and got my second sight of grace. Got my first one at the beginning. Then realized the things that stuck out of the grace actually meant important things there. And as soon as I realized that, I instantly started going where that pointed at. Then naturally, I came across Margit and got my ass handed to me. Okay, to give some backstory. I nearly completed Dark Souls 3 before I even started playing Elden Ring. So I know that if I struggle in a boss, I can just grind some more and try the boss again. So I applied this logic to Margit and just grinded in the place just before the boss arena. There are many soldiers there. Tried to beat him again, failed again, grind again, fought the boss again, failed again, again and again and again and again. Then finally, after 30 or so tries, I fucking beat him. Don't get too excited now, mortal. Next up is Godric. Oh boy. Which is also the first remembrance boss I've slain, and the first one that most people encounter. The first remembrance boss. For Godric, I simply did the same thing as Margit. Grind, try, fail, repeat. After 20 or so tries, Godric was beaten, and it was around that time I started gaining interest in the game and started watching what other people did. And I learned that I just could have skipped Stormvale and went straight to Leonia. After realizing my dumbassness, I got back up and continued playing. Now was time for Leonia. At this point, I had a well enough understanding of the game where I knew I could just get the Dectus medallions and go to Altus. Also, I had and still have a great understanding of when I should like and subscribe. And my knowledge tells me it is right here and now. You done? Good. So, since I knew nothing about the world, I decided to just go everywhere I could to get the maps and at least know where I'm at. So I went to Altus and Caelid to receive their maps, then came back to Leonia. Okay, I completed this first playthrough more than 6 months ago, so maybe even much more than that. I don't remember. That's the thing. I don't remember certain things, like when I beat Renala, Radahn, and those other mid-game bosses. I don't remember them. In which order I beat them, which one I struggled with, how many attempts did I spend on them? I don't remember. However, I can tell how the fights went. I think I beat Radahn before Renala and was still using Uchigatana. Tried so many times I didn't even remember. Then I went to Nokron because I could and fought the Mimic there. I used the cheese for the Mimic there, where you unequip all your equipment and let the Mimic spawn, then re-equip all the equipment to win the fight easily. I also beat Godskin Apostle in one of the towers that I'm too lazy to look up in Caelid. Then I came back to Leonia and stumbled across this video. And I saw this weapon pop up. The Sword of Night and Flame. I thought it was great and then learned that it was in Leonia, where I was at. I learned how to get the weapon and got it. That's all fine. Then the realization came like a fucking missile. The weapon required 24 intelligence and faith. Yeah, I'll just grind. I went straight to Lyricaria, yes. I went straight to Lyricaria and grinded there, which I have to say was pretty good for that time. So the grind eventually ended and finally I could use my weapon. I progressed through Lyricaria like it was nothing until I encountered Renala. She put me back in my place real fast. You remember the tactical I told you earlier? Yeah, it was used yet again and I kicked Ronald's ass. I was mostly done with Leonia, so I went to Altus. I mostly did boarding stuff there, like the place was huge for me and I explored it. Then after what felt like ages, I finally decided to actually progress in the game. I used an ancient tactic called trial and error and finally found the actual path. Then saw this dude, draconic tree fucker, blocking the gate. I swear man, this motherfucker is impossible to beat. Remember, I was over level 70 at this point. I tried like 20 times and just couldn't pass this dude, so I tried different tactics. I tried using summons, different weapons, and all that bullshit. By trying to use different stuff, I gained a lot of runes because of that. Levels. So I was around 90 levels at this time. Yes, I gained 20 fucking levels just trying to beat this dude. And I can't beat this draconic tree fucker's ass. In the end, I turned on offline mode, disabled the anti-cheat, and basically cheated. I was not proud, and I still am not, but I had to. I progressed into Lanedale. Sometimes utilizing guides, I reached gold 3 not long after I entered the royal capital. Beat him in not more than 10 attempts, which is significantly lower than the hundreds of attempts I spent on this stupid bitch. I also didn't have as hard of a time with Morgoth as I thought I would. Then I went straight to the mountaintops. When I reached the top, I went straight to Fire Giant, no questions asked. I want to remind you that I'm still using the Sword of Night and Flame at this point. I tried Fire Giant, failed, grinded, retried. You know that stuff. Couldn't pass the dude. Then I remembered this video and specifically a particular katana, the Rivers of Blood. At this point I knew about the game, I knew about the different damage types, like bleed, did percentage damage, and the Rivers of Blood did bleed damage. So why not use it? So I got the katana, and after a couple tries and some more level grinding, I beat Fire Giant. Then I got stuck. I couldn't find where to go, and as any sane person would do, I wandered around aimlessly and stumbled upon Volcano Manor. Oh, Volcano Manor. It took me so fucking long to get main part of Manor. I knew Rykard was ahead, so ahead I went. On my way to Rykard, I saw this dude. This chubby ass dude. Struggled to beat him for a while. In the end, I came out victorious. I was really close to Rykard. I could feel it. Then finally, I reached his arena. For those who might not know, Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy, is a gimmick boss where you kinda have to use this one weapon, the Serpent Hunter, to beat him efficiently. I struggled for a while, but by upgrading the weapon a little bit, I passed Rykard. At this point, I'm breezing through the game, gaining levels after levels, beating boss after boss. Then something hit me. No, not literally. I could just look up a guide on where I should go, so I looked up and I burnt the Earth Tree. After that, I was in Faramazula. I knew what I should do here, so I didn't have much difficulty locating the area. After a little bit of searching, I found the Foreskin Duo. Honestly, they were not that bad. I used this sword to make him sleep and used my regular Rivers of Blood to chop him. Then it was time for Malekith, the Black Blade. Beat him with these two in 3-4 attempts. Okay, at this point I've been using Mimic Tear as a summon for a while. That's why everything feels easy now, because I'm 170 levels or something, and with a plus 10 Mimic Tear by my side, I of course beat everything easily. After Malekith, I went to the last area of the game, Lanedale, now Ashen capital, and just beat Gideon with these, and I remembered something. I've completely forgotten about the Helic Tree. No! So yeah, I went to the Helic Tree. I also beat Morg sometime before I beat Melania. Anyways, I wandered around a little bit, then watched a guide and saw I should beat Loretta first. I thought it would be fine. It wasn't. I struggled so much, and at this point I refused to grind more, because 170 levels is way more than enough to beat the game. So I just brute forced my way through Loretta and went to fight with Melania. It was said that this was the hardest boss in the game. Maybe even the entire Souls franchise. Harder than the Nameless King, harder than Ishin Ashina. Melania, Blade of Mikela. I'm gonna be honest. Here, come closer. It wasn't so bad with the Mimic Tear. We staggered her every time we hit, giving a bleed with rivers of blood on our right hand and the Uchigatana on our left. The second phase was more or less the same. We beat her in like 15-20 attempts. And finally, I came back to the Ashen Capital. I beat Horalu with a similar attempt count to Melania. And then it was time for the final boss of the game. Radagon of the Golden Order and Elden Beast. I had to try like 10 times before I even got to the Elden Beast phase. It was so hard. I tried over and over again and I just could not beat them. I didn't want to cheat my way through the final boss, and at that point I just gave up. I couldn't beat the boss. Then after a couple of weeks, my friend told me to not use a bleed build for the final boss, and he specifically told me to use a strength build. I respec with Renala and I had a strength build now. I went to the finger reader and got the black blade from Malekith's remembrance and just leveled it up to +10. I went back to Lanedale, entered the boss arena, summoned my mimic, and I won attempt the boss. I won attempt the boss. That was it. I beat the game. Wait, hold up. There's Placidus Axe. Beforehand, I tried to beat Placidus Axe with my old build and I just couldn't do that. So I went to Faramazula to beat Placidus Axe, and guess what? I won attempt him as well. Fuck you, game. So yeah, this was my first playthrough of Elden Ring. I tried to explain as much as I can remember because I couldn't remember all the playthrough. I still kinda suck at the game after completing the game twice now. That's why I'm trying to become a pro like these dudes. And you can watch me suck at the game at Mortal Live, and you can go there from the link in the description. Go to my live streaming channel, yeah. You'll see there. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.